Why is working hard, doing your best, the Christian thing to do? Put it differently. What causes laziness as opposed to diligence? Because there are people who are lazy, but there are people who are diligent, hardworking, diligent. Whatever they put their hand to do, they do it to their very limit. And you know something? Some of these diligent people may not be very gifted, but because of the hard work they do, they end up with a better performance than people that are gifted but lazy. What causes people to be lazy? I have a few suggestions or possibilities. Number one is when you don't value yourself. You have a low self-esteem. You don't even think God cares about you. You don't think anybody is bothered about you. So there's no motivation to perform. Because after all, I can never do well. After all, what does it matter? Nobody appreciates what I do. That will lead you to just do the minimum possible. Because why put a lot of effort into it? But of course, you know that is false. Even if nobody else cares, your parents don't like you, your siblings don't like you, your boss doesn't like you, God does like you. So it's not really a positive reason as to be lazy. Another reason why one could end up not trying hard is because of past failures. You do this, you fail. You do another one, you fail. You do yet another one, you fail. And it sounds like there's a chorus of failures. I failed in marriage, and failed at work, then failed in church, then failed in. I seem to fail in everything. So I am afraid of trying anything. And since I know I've come to a conclusion I always fail, why waste my efforts? I'll just give minimum effort since I'm going to fail anyway. And so there are people who end up failing because they predicted they will fail. And all that was based on their history, the fact that they had failed in future, in the past. Again, you can see it's not a meaningful thing. Again, they are counting their failures, not counting successes. Even this person who has failed in this and this and this, he has failed in 9 things. There will be one thing he did not fail. Why you ask, if you failed pass in one or did well in one, why are you concentrating on the ones you failed and not assuming that this one is the one that is going to define your future? It doesn't make sense to assume because you failed, you always fail. Look at it. Maybe you are going through a rough patch. Maybe you have just lost a loved one. And so your mind was not at its best. So this failed, that failed, another one failed, but they are all traced to what your mind, position of your mind at that time. Or maybe it's an environment. There was an economic slump, and there were several issues all around it. And no wonder that failed and this other one failed. Why do you assume that the environment will never change? So you cannot fail to work hard and become lazy because you have failed in the past. Because you know there's a possibility of doing well in future. But the third reason why you are likely to actually be lazy is because of not being appreciated. You did a lot, did your best, but when your parents came home, They always liked what your brother did. And something was obvious. Your brother had not done as well as you, but they seem not to appreciate you. So you finally had a mental block that made nobody appreciate you. But you see, that's the wrong thing to work for. If you work for people's opinion, you have made yourself a prisoner to them. As you grow older, as a child, that may be okay, but as you grow older, you must learn to have self identity. Who are you? You are not who your parents say you are. You are not who your siblings say you are. You are not even who your teachers say you are. You are who God says you are. And when you start seeing that you are not defined by people, you work hard. And as long as you know you did your best, it doesn't matter what they think. You are proud of your performance, proud of your work, even if they don't care. I once was in Addis Ababa and I was living in the Hilton and I saw a small book and I bought it about the report forms of the world's great. And almost every one of the great guys, his teacher somewhere had said he would be a failure, but he turned out to be a great performer. So it means you can't allow people to define you. Why is it wrong? They never created you, they don't even know you. Your parents are not you. You are different from them. They may predict you wrongly, but God who created you knows you well. So you can't allow even your parents to define you. You know, back to the book I bought at the Hilton in Addis Ababa. The story I remember most is of Churchill. Report after report, teachers wrote and were in agreement that this boy is too playful, he will amount to nothing. So he left school knowing that he's nobody. But you know that boy ended up to be one of the greatest leaders in the history of the world. He is credited with the turn of events for Hitler not to have ruled the world. He was able to beg, cajole the whole free world to fight the battles despite thousands and thousands of people still dying until the Allies won and the UN and the League of Nations were formed and the whole world changed because of one man called called Churchill, whom people had his teachers. And by the way, they were not lying. This is what they were observing. He did not seem like you amount to anything. Please do not allow your teachers to define you. God knows you. Work hard at whatever you put yourself to do. And as long as you know you have done well, be proud of what you have done, irrespective of other people's opinion. In the book of Philippians, chapter 4, verse 13, the Bible says, I can do all this through him who give me strength. The older English say, I can do all things through him who gives me strength. Paul is talking about he has had days that are difficult, he has days with plenty, he has had good days, he has had bad days, but he is not discouraged. He is facing the future, Paul talking, with a position that I can do everything, irrespective of the environment that I'll face in future. I can do everything through Christ who gives me strength. It therefore meant Paul, the apostle, went through many difficult times but never gave up. The final one, we see him going to Jerusalem. Prophecy after prophecy are saying he'll be in trouble, but he knew God wanted him in Jerusalem. So he still went, despite being persuaded. He wanted to do what he had to do even at the risk of death. You can see him telling himself as he is going toward Jerusalem, and they are saying he's going to be in trouble. He say, I can do all this through him, Jesus, who gave me the strength, even at the face of death. So he did his best in everything. And by God's design, he ends up writing maybe maybe a half of the New Testament. One man. Can you see he had many reasons because of the kind of periods he had gone through to give up. But he stuck with it and he did his best. So, why would you do your best in whatever you put yourself to do? Number one, because you will not do things that you don't believe God has called you to do. You do what God has called you to do. Number two, when you do it because God has called you to do it, then you'll be conscious that God is with you in it. And how can God fail? So you do your very best because you know you are with God. Number three, you will not be bothered by what people are saying and their opinion, because for you, it is, I'm doing it through Him who will give me strength, God. Not so the other people's opinion will not drive you, will not matter. You will stick with what you feel you are doing, and you do your very best because you know you are doing it God's way, in God's strength, for God's results. So therefore, we'll do everything. If you are in an exam, you study hard, despite the fact that there may be people better than you. Your interest is not the other people's performance. You do your best. So that even if you are to get a D, you'll be the kind of a person who would have gotten an E, but because you worked hard, you got a D. This person never regrets, even after the things have gone bad, because he knows he did his best. These are the results. They are not good, but I did my best. You keep saying with Paul, I can do this exam through him who gives me strength. And once that thing results, whatever results, you will be able to accept them and move on. Your question, do you do your very best in anything you set yourself to do? Or are you the type of a person who does whatever they do if only they get encouragement? Are you dependent on somebody somewhere encouraging you to work? Or do you have a personal inner motivation that does not depend on external motivation? The verse you are reading, it says, I can do all those through him, Christ, who gives me strength. So Paul is saying, I'm totally unbothered by whether people give me encouragement or give me encouragement, don't like what I do, like what I do. That's not what drives me. So we have learned that we need to have an inner motivation that is not dependent on external motivation. That inner motivation comes from our knowledge of God and our doing whatever we do in order to please Him, even if it's for the good of men. And when that is your attitude, you can never have room for laziness. Because laziness is actually disobeying God. Laziness is displeasing God. And sometimes the reason we are lazy is because we think nobody can see. So you say, I can cut corner here, I can cut the corner here. If you are doing it, like Paul is saying, through him who gives you strength, he sees in secret. He knows when you could have done better, but you are lazy. So when it is him driving you, him encouraging you, him walking with you, you will never, ever suffer from a pool of laziness. You always do your best.